Hey, what's up guys? I'm Swishtari, and every week I do a video review of one of my subs games. This week we are reviewing my buddy Stosis game. He is the Grey Talon here, and if you want to have one of your games reviewed, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and post your match ID below, and I will put you on the list for a quick VOD review. I've got about 4 or 5 other ones to do. I'm gonna try to do one a week at least. But yeah, let's get right into this. So Stosis is a very good Grey Talon player. He usually plays Spirit Grey Talon, and he's actually in a game with 2 of my other buddies, Heelside and Derbs, right now. I think they're in High Emissary right now, but let's see how this goes for him. So right off the bat, looks like he's leaning against a Dynamo and a McGinnis, and he has a Viscous in his lane. A little tough there, getting trapped by the McGinnis wall. Always unlucky. Good to get out of that. He upgrades his 1 first and then takes the 2 as his second, which is good. That's definitely what you want to do as Spirit Grey Talon. He's pretty low on health here, and oh, maybe should have died there, honestly, if that Dynamo had been paying closer attention. But he's going to go back and heal. He was pushed up a little bit. As Grey Talon, you know, you do want to try and last hit with melees as much as you can, because the arrows aren't quite as fast as anything else. But in general, he's so squishy that I wouldn't want to try and be in the front line and take all that damage from a McGinnis who's really strong early on. McGinnis can just absolutely mow people down, even with just 1 500 item or base level. And the Viscous is pretty strong early on too, so it's good to just let him kind of take the damage and do the last hitting and focus more on poking. And looks like he's back in lane now. He didn't lose too much farm. He's only down by about 200 here, and is using his 1 effectively to poke, which is good. And meleeing to try and get these last hits, also very good. It looks like David's having a much worse time in the purple lane. He's died twice to the Infernus now, and is having a rough game. That's unfortunate. But hopefully the boys are able to turn this one around.
Time for evasive tactics.
He takes extra charge first, which makes sense as a Spirit Grey Talon. You want to have as many charges of that 1, which is your main source of damage, as you possibly can. Those things hit like a truck later on. And he's using them effectively to poke, which is good. I mean, he's last hitting. Doesn't seem to be missing many last hits, which is good. He's kind of caught up in farm here after the 3rd or 4th wave, after he was forced to pull back and heal early on. He takes extra Spirit and Enduring Spirit here early on.
They can't run forever. They're in my sights.
So Stos, you're definitely pretty focused on poking with Grey Talon, which is very good. At this point, I'd probably start saving my charges for my 1. A lot of these Spirit-based characters have a breakpoint when they get the 2nd upgrade, and you'll see it's plus 65 damage. And I think that's at like maybe 2.3k is when you get the +2 ability points and you can upgrade that. That's when the charge shot really starts doing a ton of damage. So as you get closer to that break point, maybe start conserving a few charges, just so that when you do get that plus 65 damage, which really boosts you up a lot, which you just got right now at 2.3k, now you should have like 3 charges ready to go to just kind of rapid fire off at a much higher rate. Like, look at the damage from that. Oh my god, the poke is crazy. And you have a good opportunity to maybe kill this Dynamo on the next arrow here. And you go for the 2 to maybe play a little bit too aggressively. I would have maybe just waited for my 1 and gone for that instead. The 2, the Rain of Arrows on Grey Talon, is good if you're playing weapon Grey Talon, but as Spirit, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of benefit. The main additional damage is from, you know, having more than 1 arrow go out if you're an attack damage based or gun based Grey Talon. but as Spirit, it doesn't really do much for you. So I use it more defensively personally. I think is a better way, and not as aggressively. So the Dynamo's back. He's at full HP. His Viscous is running away to somewhere. Oh, it looks like
There you are.
looks like they're swapping lanes here. So now it's Heelside and Stos together in the lane,
Pulling them.
and Viscous is going to purple to switch things up a little bit, which is good. It seems like the Viscous is ahead, and we'll have a much better time against the Infernus. And the Dynamo, or the Bebop, usually wants to be in a duo lane, so he can get stacks on his 2. So nothing wrong with that swap. I think it's a good idea, and hopefully our boy David can get back in the game here with some stacks and some points. Stos is upgrading his 2 and his 1 to reduce the cooldown.
A fire from above.
Ooh, very close there. You might go for an ult here around the corner to try and finish this Dynamo off, but I don't think he's quite low enough. And the Lash has just showed up for a gank. I don't know how the Lash didn't get Stos as well. But he still does get the kill on Dynamo, which is very good. He overextended a little bit there. The Dynamo probably should have just gone back. I don't know why he dove in there for a second time, but that gives Stos the kill he needs. So Stos, I see you're taking Enchanter's Barrier here. I think that's a really good item on Grey Talon. That's a great choice. Really increases the spirit damage that he can put out. And with the Mystic Burst and extra spirit, it'll be very good for you to start chunking people with these ones, which is great. So you're falling a little bit behind on farm, but not too much. I think you're still lasting really well.
Taking the shot.
So it looks like the Dynamo also picked up Enchanter's Barrier, which kind of sucks for you because that means that he's gonna be harder to poke, but you should still be able to break through that if he's as aggressive as he has been the rest of the game. So there's something I noticed, Stos, that you're doing a lot, and I suffer from this exact same affliction, is you seem to be reloading all the time when you only have put out a few shots. I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but if you do it too often, you can end up in situations where you press reload on accident and you don't have ammo to get out. Here the Lash comes in for another gank, and I see you using the 2 effectively offensively, but I think if you ever in a situation where you get ganked like that, you should just immediately try and press your 2 to get out of there, especially against a Lash. It really, if you have the height advantage on a Lash and you're not on the ground, it makes it much harder to ground strike you. I mean, he can do it out of the air, but it's much less likely. So using the 2 more defensively and not as offensively is probably a really good thing to do.
Our yellow walker is under attack.
So you got Hollow Point Ward here, which is a great item for Grey Talon. You know, you only have about 300 health here, so maybe it would be better to heal or get a healing item. I think you're maybe playing a little bit too aggressively here. I mean, in most situations, I think the enemy would be able to kill you here. The Lash has his ult up and could have just ulted you there. The McGinnis goes for it, the Lash goes for it, but thankfully they don't get you. Oh, so close there on the Dynamo.
Arrows knocked.
Ooh, nice attempt on the
They couldn't have gotten
charge
far.
shot to try and kill that Dynamo there. Unfortunately, it didn't connect, but I think you probably make that shot sometimes. And it's always good to go for him. So Lash is still in your lane. I don't know what's going on green that is just letting this Lash roam so much in your lane, but you're doing well to try and respond to it. Ivy's in your lane as well, but I would have probably just liked to see that character maybe just push her own lane instead of trying to help here.
Trap is set. Firing.
So you're doing some really good poke damage. I wouldn't do that flank very often is Grey Talon. I think when you go into that, past that Mystic Veil, it's so close range for the enemy to try and turn on you. I would try and avoid doing that kind of flank as Grey Talon, just because he's so squishy. And I don't think that against better players, they wouldn't just turn on you and try and kill you.
Learn what it means
Or
to
wall
be
you off.
hunted.
McGinnis can just wall you off there, and you know, you'd really be screwed.
I'll be ready.
So you pick up Mystic Vulnerability here. I don't know a whole lot about what your build path is, but Mystic Vulnerability on Grey Talon isn't a great item, simply because Mystic Vulnerability applies a debuff that reduces their spirit resist for 6 seconds, but Grey Talon has a lot of burst damage, upfront damage from his 1, and that's where all of his damage comes from, and it's very unlikely that you're going to apply spirit damage right before or right after that 1 happens. So Mystic Vulnerability, while a good item, I don't think it applies as much benefit to Grey Talon because he has these occasional bursts of damage. Oh, that one actually very good damage on him.
I'll find them.
Ooh, nice dodge there. Goes up in the air. The lash is on his right, and I think he needs to maybe turn it towards him and help with his teammate attacking him instead. Fortunately, the lash has his ult, and he's going to probably use that to try and kill now.
Sending arrow.
But luckily, they both get out of it because the McGinnis is missing all of his ultimate ability power, and these guys are once again stuck in a 3v2 situation on their lane, and somehow green is still losing in the 1v2. Don't get that at all, but it's unfortunate.
I see dynamo.
Oof.
They won't know what hit them.
Unfortunately, early on, you kind of have to use your owl a little bit more conservatively. The cooldown on this is 130 seconds right away, and as much as you can get some damage from it and benefit team fights by sending it, I think it's much better to try and really focus on getting the spirit stacks and only using it if you can really track down a kill on someone at distance with the owl. It almost works more effectively on people in other lanes because they don't expect it as much. If you use it in your own lane, typically they're a little bit more responsive to it and expecting it. You really should be looking for people at low HP across the map and trying to target them with the owl instead. So you're doing pretty well on farm. You're ahead of your competition here in blue lane. You're 1-0, and you've got a decent build path. You go with kinetic dash here as your next orange item, which is pretty good on Grey Talon. Nothing wrong with that. Gives him a little bit more stamina and mobility, which is great, and can build into Arcane Surge later, which is a good item on him. A little bit too aggressive here, trying to poke. You know, you always want to make sure your creep wave is with you when you're going for this kind of damage. I think in general, you want to make sure to push your wave if it's on the tower before focusing on like pushing up and poking the enemy at all. So it's good to poke for sure. It's good to try and get that damage out, but you also want to make sure you're pushing your lane off of your own tower and you're not ahead of your own creep wave too often. So you get some good damage on the McGinnis here. You guys should be able to take this tower in a 2v1 situation, but against the McGinnis it's tough. He's got the wall and the dynamo comes for you. I see you going for a flank again on this Veil push. I don't think it's a very good idea, and if that Infernus was paying attention, he probably could have turned on you and ulted, but luckily he wasn't, and you guys are stuck with a tough 2v3 again here, and you're playing on the back foot to defend. Luckily the Infernus runs away for some reason and goes back. Oh, he's gonna try and clear purple instead. Oof. Missed parry on the Abrams, but that's okay. He's got very low health as you're chasing him here. And you get the kill on him. Very nice. Very nice. At the same time, David's charging up his Yamato laser and frying people. And you're going for the owl. Let's see if it lands. And it does. Excellent work, Chris. Alright. Oh, and the last showed up. Ulting you guys in the tower. That's tough. You go for the 2 to try and disengage a little bit, which is good. Using that defensively appropriately. Very nice to see.
This is the perfect spot.
You do have some HP here, but that Vindicta probably could kill you if he turns on you, so appropriately you dash away, which is good. Healbane's a great item here. The enemy team has a lot of healing, so it's definitely good to get Healbane. Mystic Shot, another great item on Great Talon. Ooh, another miss parry and a death against the Abrams. That's unlucky. I don't know if you know this, but Abrams' shoulder charge stun, you will never get the parry on him after a shoulder charge unless you have debuff reducer or remover. Debuff reducer reduces the time that you're stunned for, and remover obviously reduces it even more. But if you try to parry right after a shoulder charge, any Abrams player is going to be able to get that hit on you, and you'll never be able to parry them unless you have the debuff reducer. So I wouldn't try so much to parry after a shoulder charge. You can parry after his ult, but not after a shoulder charge. It just ends up with you sitting there and taking more damage. I don't know if you would have survived that either way. Abrams had you dead to rights there, but nice kill on the Abrams. Good teamwork. The boys are here. We're locked in. Farm's looking pretty good. You're at 11k.
Our purple walker is under attack.
Quick little AFK for you. And we're back in the action. At this point, you should be probably saving up for rapid recharge as your next item. It's so good on Great Talon and Spirit, and giving you abilities to just constantly shoot out those ones is so important.
Taking aim.
Our yellow walker is under attack.
Slow him down.
Taking a shot.
Oof. You kind of put yourself in a tough spot here against this Lash. I mean, if you didn't climb up there, you survived this for sure, but again, you know, with the Vindicta coming to gank and the Abrams coming to gank, maybe not. I think you're probably dead to rights anyway, so that's tough. I think in general, playing Great Talon, you want to be a little bit more defensive and further back. You want to be able to poke for sure, but I would try practicing hitting those charge shots from further distance away, and in general just trying to stay a safer distance because of how squishy he is and hard it is to survive on him if you do get jumped on. Improved cooldown, a great item on him, really good for recharging his 1 and his ult and the rest of his abilities in general.
Our blue walker is under attack.
I would have probably gone blue here right away. I see you noticed that someone has to fill that gap, so you do go there now. But always look to your own lane first to see if someone's there before going to help another lane. Even if the Guardian's down, you still want someone soaking that lane. And it's good that you pivot here to your yellow walker or your purple walker, because they definitely need help here.
Aiming.
Nice damage on the Abrams. He's not quite low enough for you to owl yet, but after maybe 1 or 2 more, perhaps.
Arrows knocked.
A little farm here is good, but you don't want to miss the creep waves, so, you know, as long as you're not, because no one's there right now, you go back and you can get it. Yeah, you missed 1 creep, but that's not too bad. Your team's ahead a little bit at 93k to 90k. You're in about right in the middle at 14k.
Can't run forever.
And farming some jungle here is definitely good, but I typically would try and push the lane further and then go back in jungle. But it looks like he didn't miss any creeps for that, so it's fine.
Fire. I can get something of quality.
So you got 3k now. You could go and get the rapid recharge, which would be my next buy and one of my first buys. In terms of big items on Grey Talon for Spirit build, it's very, very good to give you those ones in a faster recharge rate. Looks like they're trying to run Urn here and looking to position. Hopefully your team comes to support you. You've already pushed the purple lane as much as you can. And it looks like the Moen Krill... Oh, Derek caught him mid-lane, but the Vindicta, who actually has the Urn, just ran past you guys and is over there now. So, sure, this fight is important and getting these kills is important, but you don't want to lose sight of the Urn, which is the objective that you guys are playing for right now. Owl goes out, not quite low enough for it, unfortunately. Doesn't connect. Somehow the Vindicta is alive. I don't know how. And while you guys are fighting for this, no one really seems to notice that the Spirit Urn is kind of just in mid now. Derek goes for it, which is good. Because you guys have a free Urn after winning that fight. You guys should definitely look to capitalize on that. Get chased a little bit here by this Lash. Unfortunately, no one around to help you as they focus to pivot more on the Urn. And you get caught by him. David going for the big 1v1 against the McGinnis and takes it for the win. Starting to come back. Very good to see. But we are reviewing Stos here. Unfortunately, he is dead. He does get rapid recharge though. Great item. The best item on Spirit. Great talent by far. Increasing the faster time between charges by 45%. Insane. You basically get those ones back 50% faster. I mean, this item is absolutely stupid on characters like Grey Talon, who all of their damage is up front from these charge shots. So, Yellow Walker goes down. Not much you can do about that, as you just revived. You can hear the Infernus farming in the jungle next to you. At this point, I would probably call for Derek to come help and ult this guy. And see if you can lock him down and get the gank on him, since both of you are here. The Moen Krill ult would be perfect for not letting him escape, but unfortunately he does get away, and Derek is still chasing him, so that's alright.
Hunter strikes.
And you're caught between trying to push this lane
Just because I don't
and
see
kill the
them.
Infernus, unfortunately. So you're a little behind on farm because of some of the deaths that you've had recently. So you definitely need to try and equalize yourself back up to like 20k maybe, and get one more 3k item before you start rejoining the fight, which is good. You're farming now. Even though there's a big fight happening on purple, you know, it's much better for you to just farm a couple waves and get your second 3k item, which I would probably get improved burst here personally. I think it's another really good item on Grey Talon, and really improves the damage of his one, which is really the main output. This fight has lasted a long time. No one on the enemy team is super low, but maybe the Infernus is a good target here. Not really. So, I mean, I would probably engage first with your ones, try and get some good charge shots in, and then go for the owl, instead of the opposite way. You know, maybe start with the charge shots, and then if someone runs, then try the owl. You do get a nice kill on the dynamo though, that's nice. Able to output a lot of good damage there. And you have almost 6k now, so you can maybe buy 2 3k items. I would probably go with improved spirit and improved burst after I get my 2 items here. Now, you don't know this because you can't see the McGinnis behind you, but you're in a bad spot here because of the fact that she's here. and she will give the Abrams confidence to come and kill you, as the two of them together can probably do so, and they do. So hindsight's 2020 because I can see the minimap on both sides, but I would not play it as aggressively, I guess, as Great Talon, and maybe just look to kind of position yourself to farm more and dish out damage from the back line instead of trying to take some of these 1v1s or chasing enemies like that. You know, try and position yourself with your teammates in team fights, and if you're not in team fights, just focus on farming. It's kind of tough to do too much 1v1ing as Spirit Great Talon, unfortunately. But you do take Improved Burst and Improved Spirit. Great to see. Amazing items on Great Talon. You're pretty much at maximum build capacity at this point. You know, you're going to start falling off later in the game, but you know, maybe items like Arcane Surge and Mystic Reverb are also really good for Great Talon. But other than that, you do go for an ult here, maybe on the Vindicta, or just in general to help your team out. The Dynamo does die right after your ult, so you do get stacks for that, which is good. I think there's like a... what? Like a 4 or 5 second time period where you get the Spirit Power buff if they die within that after they take damage, so that's good. You choose to go purple here instead of helping your team, which is great to see because this lane is so pushed up and the farm is free and you're a little bit behind, so you definitely want to make sure you're getting the creep wave. As well as some of these jungle spots. You do miss 2 creeps there while you're doing the jungle camp, so just order of operations, I would try and do the creeps first, Chris, and then go for the jungle camps in general, especially if there's a creep wave nearby. Always try and get those creep waves first and then the jungle camp if it's available. Great damage on the Abrams here, really good burst, 2 good arrows on him. He's low HP, unfortunately you have to retreat or at least Slash is going to kill you. You go for another parry here. I mean, it's not like you would have survived either way, unfortunately. That Abrams had you dead to rights, but you can't not shoulder charge parry. It's simply just not going to work most of the time, unless you build around having debuff reducer. Ooh, Dynamo goes for the solo ult here on Bebop. Derek is in Narnia out here, farming the enemy jungle, but does get the kill on the McGinnis, so can't argue with results, man. He's at 27k, so he's got good farm. How's David doing? He's got about 86 stacks, not bad at 28 minutes, so he's a little behind, but not too much considering he was 0-3 at the beginning. Pretty good. He's got the Echo Shard, good to see. So what do you got? We go with Surge of Power on 1, also a great choice. Improved Spirit Power imbuement on that one to do more damage and give you the ability to clear faster. Good jungling, nice and fast. You're a little behind on farm at 24k. You're the lowest on the board at the moment, so appropriately you're farming a little bit to get back. Some of these deaths might have been avoidable, and if you try and focus on your positioning and being in the back line a little bit more and not trying to take these 1v1s, then you probably wouldn't fall behind on farm as much. But hindsight's 2020. It's kind of tough once you get caught by the Abrams. Okay. Abrams gets away with his ult. McGinnis shows up. At this point, you both should disengage because it's now a 2v2 in enemy territory, and it's a bit too risky. So you do. Derek doesn't. He's going for it.
Surprise!
And Derek's dead. Man's a psycho. That's okay. You're gonna farm a little bit. You might want to try and participate in this fight on green lane, but they really shouldn't be fighting without you after the Moan Curl dies too. Nice ult on 3 of them to do some damage, but unfortunately that's not going to give you the stacks you need.
Doesn't love a surprise.
and you engage with the 2 here on the side to flank. It's a bit risky, but oh, you do get a nice kill with 2 good charge shots on the Abrams. You get caught. Ooh, caught by the Vindicta stake, which is unfortunate. It's a bit of a risky play to try and flank as Grey Talon, just because if the enemies do turn on you, there's not many disengagement tools you have, and one of the only ones you do have is your 2. And if you use your 2 to engage against the enemy, you're kind of dead to rights if they do turn on you. So the 2 is effective in weapon damage based builds for Grey Talon, but in spirit based damage, I don't really think it's that important to try and engage with it. I would probably just use it a bit more defensively. And I probably would have upgraded my ultimate to get the tier 3 after hit kills enemies that are below 22% health. I think that's better in spirit based builds, just to try and get more spirit stacks, and against some of these really high HP characters like Abrams and Dynamo, that can be really effective for an execute. So you guys are ahead as a team in terms of souls, but you're not quite ahead. It seems like you're losing in general just because some of these team fights have gone the wrong way, and the occasional player will get picked off, and then you guys will still hard commit to the fight after you're in a 5v6, which is really not a good idea to do. You know, if someone dies, just try not to take the fight, but that's more of a team-based macro issue, not something that you necessarily can control.
There you are.
In terms of your build path, let's see, you go with Spellslinger headshots. Interesting. I really don't like this item in general, and this goes for every build. I really think this item is kind of undertuned in general. It really only works if you're consistently hitting headshots, and even with that, at a 6-second debuff duration, it lasts such a short period of time that it doesn't really benefit many heroes. Nice kill on the Dynamo there with a slick arrow as he tries to roll away, and good engagement here to catch these guys in the 6v3. You should be able to clean up nicely if everybody commits to this engagement.
They can't run forever.
And take 2 of the walkers. Big Infernus ult to stop the Moan Krill ult and catch some of the guys there off guard. Calico really needs to be more involved in that fight earlier on. Unfortunately, they get to turn on you and win that fight. Now the Abrams is clearly overextended here, but I don't think you win this 1v1, and you try to disengage here, which is good. Nice dodge roll to try and avoid that. I would have gone for a parry here to maybe just get him off you. The zipline's super risky just because the stun lasts a long time, but you do manage to get away, which is great. Go heal. Please go heal. Just go heal. It's alright. And the Calico's dead here. That's really bad for you. You guys are gonna lose your patron for sure, as well as your shrines and patron are gone. So hopefully once Bebop and Viscous come back up, you guys are able to maybe pressure them off from just finishing the game. But this looks really bad for you guys right now. You are trying to poke as much as you can to get these guys to go back and heal, which is great. You definitely should be dishing out as much damage as you can, but Viscous goes in, Bebop goes in, Ivy goes in. Unfortunately, they're not able to make much progress here. The enemy team has so much healing.
We need to make a stand and stop them.
Target's marked. It's all coming together. Hello.
And unfortunately, with 2 down, they're gonna try and just end it here. And there's not much you can do with the McGinnis just railing on your boss. The gun damage is too much, and you lose. Okay, so let's talk about what you did right and what you did wrong. Some things I think you did right. I think in general your build path is pretty good. There are a few issues with it that I would change. I think that you go for kinetic dash here, which is good, and spell slinger headshots. I don't think this item is good. I would just take this out of your build in general. The first component of it, Soul Shredder bullets, is decent, but it's really not a priority item on Great Talon. Mystic Shot should be an earlier priority item. I would get this after Hollow Point Ward. And Mystic Vulnerability, I don't think is a very good item on Great Talon, because this item really benefits from really quick, fast spirit-based damage abilities. Like the Hyper Beam has like a really quick tick to it, so it like constantly will proc that Mystic Vulnerability and benefit from it. But because Great Talon is really just like chunking you with these arrows every now and then, the vulnerability period doesn't really get used at all. So I would take this out of your build, and I would upgrade Kinetic Dash to Arcane Surge, which gives you significantly more damage on your 1 after you use it right before it, and that helps a lot. I would build Rapid Recharge a little bit earlier, just because I think it's a really good item on Great Talon, and maybe try and get Reverb if you have enough money or time. And some things that you did really well, I think that you're really good at, lasting the minions and keeping your farm up. I think even with your deaths, you were able to kind of catch back up pretty quickly. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do when the team dynamic is not there, and some guys are just getting picked off one by one, and you're cycling. Unfortunately, sometimes that can lead to losses that you can't really control. Where was I? I think there's a lot of instances when you are reloading too often. Maybe I do the same thing where I'll reload after every like 3 or 4 shots when I really shouldn't be. So in general, I would just try and maybe work on your positioning to be more in the back line, and work on maybe reloading a little bit less, and just trying to really use the full capacity of your magazine before forcing yourself to reload. And I think if you use your 4 a bit more effectively early on, there are some instances where maybe you could have ulted the Infernus here, who's really low HP, and you didn't. And there are some instances where you use it when maybe you shouldn't have, to try and finish enemies in your own lane. So maybe just try and hover the other lanes a little bit to pay attention for when you can use it. I would use your Rain of Arrows 2 a bit more passive or defensively. I think you use it several instances aggressively to try and push up, but very rarely do you use it defensively, and it can be a really effective tool to get you out of a situation, which is helpful. So yeah, reload less. Don't get Mystic Vulnerability. You should be building towards Arcane Surge. I think this is really good as Great Talon. If you're going to build Kinetic Dash, you should be building towards Reverb. And that's pretty much it. Overall, pretty good game. I think you played well.
Our yellow guardian has been defeated.
I think you farmed well, did a lot of damage. Your output's great. You're at 32k damage compared to the rest of your team and the enemy team. There's not a whole lot you could have done to maybe pivot this game, but playing a bit more defensively and conserving yourself to not die as much would have given you more farm and more output, and made you play a little bit better. So that's it for my review of your game. Great job though, Stos. This has been a review of your Ritualist 6 game. So if you guys want to have a review done of one of your games, please like, comment, subscribe on the channel, and post your match ID below, and I'll give it a quick review. Thanks. GG's.